is one day past April Fool's Day, and we are the AI Biz Hour with Andy and John, and I'm getting some things ready over on this end. I sent Andy the co-host. I hope everybody can hear me. Let's see if this can happen. Of course, there's always some things that you got to kind of get together before the show starts, and we always seem to have a thing or two going on with a thing or two. We'll see how this goes with who's showing up. Excellent, Andy.
I can hear you, John. Welcome. What a happy Wednesday we've got.
Absolutely. Have you been looking at some news articles or anything this morning or this afternoon? Just kind of curious.
No, I'm still okay. So when at the end of March, then after that, you have to do all of the March reports and all of the quarterly reports. You got to get all that done the first couple of days of April. So I've been buried in doing, real work. So I haven't seen anything. So you're going to have to share with me because I got no idea.
Oakley. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Oh, can you hear? Did you hear me there for a minute or no?
Yeah, I heard something in the background. I heard a voice saying progress or good morning or something like that.
Oh, perfect. So, I've got all kinds of things going on over here. I got to turn on the phone, then to turn on X, Y, and Z, and to get this thing going. And I'm recording, and so there's a lot going on. Let me get to the news stories for the day, and here we go. Excellent. I got that. And so the one big thing that I noticed, Andy, today was that it seems like the big three are starting to pull out in front of the pack in terms of ChatGPT. Yesterday when I did a search on it, ChatGPT is miles above in terms of marketing and the people using it and Googling and what have you. It's just way above the pack, which is kind of funny because I don't find it to be really the best of the breed, the best in breed. And then we have a big story. So the first story is Amazon AI's new agent framework. I'm sorry, not Amazon. OpenAI's new agent framework has been unveiled. AI agents will handle repetitive tasks, data entry, or custom inquiries, letting you focus on strategy. Early adoption is key to staying ahead as this framework simplifies enterprise-grade automation. For marketers, this personalization and real-time data will dominate. Mastering these AI tools will be non-negotiable for targeting customers with precision and boosting campaign success. The market favors practical, scalable AI with clear returns. Look for startups building on this framework to solve real problems across industries. And as AI takes over technical work, EQ will define leadership. EQ will define leadership. Understanding people, not just data, will set you apart from guiding teams and maintaining a human-centric business. Do you have any thoughts on that, Andy?
Okay, so OpenAI's got agents. Cool. They're going to do repetitive tasks. Yep, I agree with that. And emotional intelligence or emotional quotient is going to be defining leadership. Yeah, absolutely. I responded earlier to a friend of mine who's a recruiter, and he was saying things like, during interviews, people are using multiple screens and literally like using an AI agent to get their technical results on like an online test, copy, and then typing out the stuff that they're reading in their other screens. But what I said was, to counter that, I said, if you can listen, repeat, and then come up with a kind of solution from a architecture kind of perspective as opposed to a development perspective, that's where you're going to totally change the way that you are perceived in the market by your ability to understand and come up with a solution or at least a direction to do that. I do believe that, I mean, look, we got Cursor and Replit and N8N and Windsurf now. Supposedly, these are all the best kind of text to code or text to application kind of repos in GitHub. When you add that to somebody who can think 3 steps ahead, that thinking the 3 steps ahead is the difference, not whether you can, create a JavaScript pop-up box to capture an email and then take that trigger and then send it to the database. All that stuff's easy to do now. You can just tell ChatGPT or whichever AI agent you're using, hey, do this, and it'll just give you the code, copy, paste it, done. Run a test, make sure it works in the right place. You're finished. You don't need to know every single nuance of the context in the code to do that anymore. You just need to know how to ask it. Same thing we were talking about with basic prompting. It's the smartest dumb guy you have. But if you can ask a smarter question, you'll get a better answer.
Absolutely. And one thing I get a little concerned about when I heard what your friend was saying was, you know, people getting dependent on this. What if all of a sudden there's a solar flare or what have you, where your computer freezes or your things get broken down, and the go-to thing that you're waiting to get the answer to, like you need to be on your feet. One thing I really love about doing these spaces is I feel much more confident that I can articulate what I want to say. When I really want to go really fast, I can do it, and I can do it without having to think, which is nice. And, but if you're in front of a computer all day and every time you need to get a solution, you're going to one of these things without having to, yeah, you learn how to do this quickly. Like I'm making a lot of AI agents right now, and I'm getting really drilling down for specific tasks, which is really good. I mean, I guess that's kind of ridiculous because everybody has a phone, and if a phone doesn't work, you go get a new phone. So I guess I'm just going down a wasted time with this conversation.
No,
But
it's a good conversation. The thing you need to remember is in the past, I don't know about you, but when I was in school, at least up through high school, I was never allowed to use a calculator on any math test. Now you can use a calculator on a math test, but not a graphing calculator. Pretty soon it's going to be you can use your phone, and your iPhone right now will do graphing, uh, calculus kind of computational results on your phone. Why is it? I mean, it's critical to understand how it works and that you're proficient at least to some degree in it. But I mean, I can do math in my head, but I always check it with a calculator because I'm not perfect. And it's the same kind of thing. Why would you write code for a JavaScript pop-up window? Here, you know what the truth is? They don't. You don't do that. You do it one time, you get it to work, you go copy and paste your code and you change stuff on it. Nobody rewrites code from scratch ever. Everyone will just go to a GitHub repo, grab the repo, do a poll, grab the text, put it in, make some edits, and move forward. Nobody writes code from a blank sheet in a terminal with, using Vim or Emacs or something. Hardly, unless you're first learning. But if you're really production level code, you don't rewrite code. You have a whole library of snippets. You just go grab, whether they're in some text notebook or they're stored somewhere else, or they're in a physical notebook, or they're in a repo somewhere that you have access to. Nobody writes code from scratch. Everybody copies and pastes. Why wouldn't you? It's already tested. It's already proven. It's already in production. It's already scalable. Why would you try to rewrite everything every time? That's stupid.
I just today I'm redoing the AI and Biz Hour website, and now that I've got the ability to code quickly, WordPress framework just seems retarded. It just is a lot of hassle. I don't want it. But what I've done now is I just go straight to the code box because I have either Gemini or Anthropic Claude create the code, and it's fast code because I did a check with Lightbox, and it's just so much better than and faster than going through like uh, I don't know if anybody's familiar with WordPress, but you get all these themes that have these boxes. There's Devi and there's all these things. It just makes all of that totally irrelevant. You don't need to do anything. You just you can tweak it a little bit, and it's fast code, and it's really nice. So that's going to fractionalize my time in terms of dealing with websites. I've got a couple of websites that I got to do. I used to be like, I'm done. I don't ever want to get behind a website again. But with the AI, and now that I'm making very specific agents for very specific tasks, and I got my prompting agent that makes prompts. It's makes these things a little more fun, and I really don't think this whole idea is AI going to take our jobs. I actually I went through. I'm putting quotes now from everybody who speaks onto the site, and I'm making links to their accounts, which is kind of fun because it really people you really start to get to know people after a while. We've done 100 episodes, and so you can hear their voice in their quotes, which is really fun. And I created an AI agent that I transcribe these, and so I pull it from the transcription. Um, I'm going kind of sideways on this conversation. Now we have a troll in here or something. Is there a troll in there? Not
Well, it's
sure,
just me.
but
I am muted. I don't think there's any speakers yet. Just me. Hey, there is one thing I want to do, and I don't know if we should do it today or someday this week or whatever, but I would love for people to post their prompts. And I created a prompt to generate better prompts. Okay. Using my brain and my knowledge of how prompts are. And then I ran it through how to create stuff. Um, I, I've created a prompt to generate a better prompt. Okay. And I'm going to post this in I'm going to post this in the Purple Pill. And then you can take, whoever wants to, they can take this and use it themselves. Or if they want, they can give us their prompt and then we can dissect it. Because, John, you and I have been doing prompting for 6, 7, 8 months daily to do various different things. The output is not the same, but the prompting structure and definition is. And so I think it would be super beneficial to everyone if they wanted to get better prompting, that they should literally just put their prompt in, put it in the Purple Pill, and I'll run it through my little prompt checker and to create stuff. And then uh, that would be, then we would produce some better prompts.
absolutely. And one other thing, some house cleaning. I did create the AI My Business Hour community. So if you go to my account, there's the community there. I please ask everyone who's here, who comes here regularly, join the community, because then I can put in polls and surveys to see what people are really interested in. And I say this again, and I'll say it always: the show's only as good as the people that show up, and especially the people that can contribute. And so I think that if you can contribute and let us know what really brings value to the space and how it's helpful to you, we'll really want to pinpoint how we can deliver value for everyone. So you keep on showing up, because I do enjoy this. It's kind of like a family at this point. And I really want to provide something that kind of blows the mind. Oh, and a big shout out to Val Kilmer. Sorry that he left us. He was
Yeah,
a great movie.
agree. Well, I guess Top Gun 5 won't have Val Kilmer in it unless it's like Goose, where it's just a retro thing.
Yeah, and he was he's a good artist, and he did a lot of significant stuff. I saw Cher being interviewed today by Howard Stern talking about him. I don't know. I'm kind of over celebrities. I don't know. I assume everyone feels the same way I do, but I guess they don't. But so yeah, I think that things are going to change over the next couple months now, because now we're seeing. I just got access to Manus today, and so I'm
Cool.
super excited to share with everyone what I start doing with that. I think there's 100 free events, and so I haven't touched it yet because I realized from speaking to people how powerful it is. So I don't want to waste one single event on the free Manus, because I've heard from Juan Carlos about
Wait, you got free?
yeah,
How-
yeah, yeah.
How'd you get the free? How'd you get that? The one I got, as soon as I clicked on it, it said, here, sign up, pay this much.
Well, you click on it and it's no, for me it says I got 1,000 credits.
Wow.
I
You're
may-
special.
yeah, I don't know how that happened. Maybe it was because I don't know. I don't know how that happened, but I got 1,000 credits on there, so I'm excited.
Okay, so I'm in the purple pill. I'm putting in the prompt I use to create a better prompt. And if you want, John, I'll be happy to walk through it, but um this is okay, I've just posted it. So now you all now have access to my prompt to create better prompts. And it does, by the way. And here's the cool thing. Instead of trying to remember, okay, so here's a pro tip. Instead of trying to remember all the necessary steps to generate a better prompt, an easier way to do that is to create a prompt that will do all the steps you want. And then put your idea and have it create the prompt. It's kind of like what John is doing for his stuff. He's got a prompt generator. I've got a prompt generator too, but I use it to create marketing copy, transcription copy, meeting minutes, but I also use it to generate strategic ideas, tactical steps, gaps. In fact, let me pull it up here. We're going to have to do, where is it? Vulnerability assessments on systems and accounts. So if you have a large organization with a couple thousand people accessing various enterprise level systems, how do you validate and verify your risk profiles for administrative use, for additional penetration testing, for any other kind of things? So I use the prompt to generate a better set of prompts, so I can use the prompts, the new ones, the outputs, to review and create a list of vulnerabilities of assessments by system, vulnerability and assessments by account, so that I can create a risk profile for the entire thing. I can run it against the organization and then have an idea of what the baseline is, and we can do some mitigations and then come back later. So it's one of the things I'm working on. But I used the prompt that I posted to generate the rest of the prompt. So that's my primary one. I call it prompt refinement. I put in the idea, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Give me a prompt that does this kind of stuff, and it just drops stuff out. It's really cool. And I've tried it against all kinds of different models, the Llama models, the Gemma models, the QWEN models, the Dolphin mod, the unrestricted, the models that don't have unfiltered stuff. On the open source side, you can get some unfiltered models. So you can say, if I have obfuscated code, how do I verify that this doesn't have some kind of backdoor, some kind of nefarious step? And it gave me, here's 3 or 4 things you can do. Here's how you would check it. Here's some tests against code validation before you put it into UAT or into production. So it's kind of cool, right? So again, the idea is, if you want to be more proficient, spend your time. I think of it like George Washington, right? Has all day to cut down the cherry tree, and he spends 2/3 of the day sharpening his axe. And I think that doing prompt refinement, like Umesh talked to us about months and months ago, that I've spent a lot of time working on refining the prompts. And then I thought, well, that's stupid. Why should I do that every time? I'm going to create a tool that I can use to take my prompt and then go, here, check it. Tell me what I missed. Tell me what I can do better. Rewrite it. And then it does. And it's cool. So I just shared it with all of you. By the way, in the future, I'm going to charge for this stuff. So if you guys are here listening, you're good. I see Ross is here. By the way, all of my stuff is level 1, level 0 to level 1, level 1 to level 10. Ross and Sharon and all of these amazing folks, they're like level 10, 20, 50, 100, right? They're way up here doing all this cool stuff. I'm just talking about how can I get my buddies who are doing org stuff, doing management stuff, doing leadership stuff, doing speaking stuff, doing education stuff. How can I help them be 1% better, one more step better today or tomorrow? And so that's what I did. That's what I'm doing. So anyway, back to you, John.
Well, that's awesome. We'll just get a little uh, housekeeping. We're today's show is sponsored by Virtual Synergy Inc. What if you could free up a few hours of your day without sacrificing productivity? Successful entrepreneurs know the secret. They delegate. If you're looking for an employee to handle your administration, there's no better employee than a virtual assistant from Virtual Synergy Inc. Virtual Synergy Inc. connects you with skilled human virtual assistants who handle your admin work, email, scheduling, so you can focus on what truly matters, growing your business. No hiring stress, no overhead, just support on demand. Stop managing tasks and start leading your business. And I just want to let everybody know that Juan Carlos is a genius. He is about to have a child, and before that event happens, I hope you don't mind. Give me a thumbs up if it's okay to share with the room. But he got everything organized, got everything into his AI agents, got it all, got prompts for everything, and then he got in touch with Virtual Synergy Inc. and now has agents for the virtual the virtual employees, virtual assistants. So his workflow is really, really organized, and he might be the one human being on earth that when they have a child is not going to be totally flooded with having absolutely no time at all. And I'm interested to see if that happens. I sometimes you feel like you're going to be that one exception to the rule. But I believe that if anybody can do it, Juan Carlos can do it. And he partnered up with Virtual Synergy Inc. And so I'm looking forward to hearing that story. I see we have.
Hey, John, did you happen to see what's posted in the Purple Pill right now? So first of all, very cool from Ross, Tech in Schools. One more day until lip sync animation render audio all in Pixio. That is so awesome. I totally want to do that. Ross, I got to figure out how to do that so we can do a demo. And then that's very cool. And then Michael Holding posted a ALX video. Oh my God. I don't know if we should allow that to stay or if we should chuck it, but it's pretty funny. If you guys go to the Purple Pill and check that out. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
I have not seen it yet. I'm going to take a look at it. And I just want to say, today I did post a picture of actually my AI tutor platform with some of the agents that I created. I'm curious, and I put that up on LinkedIn as well, because I'm wondering, people, it's a different experience when you go to a platform like that and you create an AI agent for a specific task. And you have my AI tutor as well, Andy, as opposed to going to Chat GDP. And even with Chat GDP, when you create your custom GDP thing, it doesn't have the power that some of these new platforms have, in the sense where you can where there's like a multitude of parameters that you can attach to any given agent task, in terms of maybe uploading certain information, maybe giving it its ability to scroll the internet, or to use a calculator, or these other things. And it just, for very specific tasks, it really starts to bring a level of refinement that's really out of this world. And I know that Copilot, I know that Google now, with their new workstation, has that on an enterprise level. I don't know how many people here are playing with with those tools on an enterprise level, but I'd be really curious. But if you get something like My AI Tutor, you can, it's reasonable enough, and it's actually less expensive than Manus's full AI tool. I can't wait to try the two. Manus does not have the features that My AI Tutor has, but the power of it, from everybody I know that's used it, it is pretty mind blowing. But so what do we need to do, Andy, to get some people to raise their hands? I mean, I can't be that entertaining that people are just hypnotized to want to listen to me all day.
Well, we've got Hoops and Star Killer and John Carlos who are up on stage. If you want to join, hit the mic button. We'll send you some speaker invites to people who've talked. We totally understand if you're just listening at lunchtime or listening whatever. But if you definitely have a comment or an idea or a question, feel free, grab the mic. If you want to tell us how you've used Virtual Synergy to help save your life and to, become way more effective, we would love to hear that. We'll copy, paste it, record it, send it to them. Oh, and by the way, on our Monday show or our Friday show for that 100th episode, Virtual Synergies in their X account and on their other social medias actually promoted our show to everybody else. So they're not just sitting in the background. They're actually aware and watching and listening, or at least listening to the recordings of what we're doing. So they're there. They're willing to, be part of your beautiful future, your amazing success. And we want to help provide tools and opportunities and ways of thinking that can allow you to utilize AI in your business.
I want to say,
Absolutely.
oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry, Andy. Hey, AI. Sorry, somebody had their hands up.
Yes, yeah. We'll get to Killer. Killer goes on tangents a little bit. He gets things a little sideways. We got to let him sit there so he can stew in his juices and then realize what is appropriate for today's show. So I'm going to let him sit there for a little bit. But one thing is, please, everybody, like the hosts and the people that are speaking, get to know each other, and please repost this so we can get as many people here today as possible. And I'm going to hand it off to you, Andy. You get to call whether you want to get started.
Let's go to Hoops. Love Hoops. Hoops is my guy. Because Hoops has done he's all over the world. He's got crazy things. I'd love to hear what his thoughts are. But going ahead. What's going on, Hoops?
Hey everybody. I was actually going to comment on your prompt system, because that's so key. Because we pay so much gas fees, right? We pay so much gas. What am I saying? That's crypto. We pay so much credits towards prompting for, especially with images. Especially with images, you're spending so much. So if you do have an effective prompter that spits out pretty refined prompt, that just might save a lot of credits. So yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested in your system here, so I'd love to tap in a little bit, for sure.
Yeah, great. It's the whole idea is, you don't have to go from 0 to 100 every day, right? It's kind of like everybody could get up in the morning, put on shoes, and walk all the way to work. They could, but we have these really cool things like cars and bicycles and public transportation and airplanes, and we use those things to accelerate or decrease our time and increase our ability to be effective at there. Just use the same thinking with AI. I don't need to go from a blank prompt to how do I generate a 10-week calendar of content for these particular topics for this particular cohort? No, just say, grab the basics you already have, create a prompt that produces better prompts, and then get 2/3 or 3/4 or 5/8 of the way there instantly. And then you can refine the last 2 or 3%. I mean, is humanity using AI needs to think more like an architect than a coder. And what I mean by that is define how the whole thing works in your mind, not how you're going to fix this one problem. Fixing that one problem is about asking the right question to solve that one thing. You need to figure out what kind of house you're going to build. You don't need to figure out how many sheets of plywood do you need or how many sheets of drywall. You can just say, it's this many space, it's this much things, it's this architecture, it's this design. Now you use the AI tool to go, now that you know that, how many of these things do I need? And it'll just go, probably this, and it'll just go, bam, give you an answer. You don't need to calculate it. You don't need to figure it out. You don't need the corners. You don't need to calculate waste. You can just put it in there. I have a restaurant and I'm going to sell steaks tonight. They're our special. And we usually have, we have 25 tables and that's 125 people and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to sell 3 sets of turns of that activity. How many steaks do I need if we sell 25% of the customers? Boom, tells you, right? It's that kind of thinking, right? You don't need to go solve all of the problems. You need to define the answer at the end and then say, what do I need to get there? And it'll do those things for you. So we have to start pivoting our thinking in how we use AI to help us get to answers faster. And you don't have to have all the details along the way. You need to say, I want to go here. I want to produce this kind of result. I want to put this kind of outcome. Here's what I have. What else do I need? And what am I missing? And it will help you in that way, as opposed to trying to figure out, okay, how far do I have to walk? How long does it take? What if I could wear shoes? Am I going to get sweat? Forget all that. I need to go here by this time. When do I leave? Well, what kind of thing you're driving? Somebody picking you up? Are you driving a car? Are you driving this? You're driving a trap. It'll just it can calculate all those other variables and give you an answer. That's what AI is brilliant at. Sometimes we try to use it for other things. All right, Hoops, you got anything else? Go ahead, John. Hoops, you got any? Eddie, you want any follow up? Any question? All right, well, let's go to Star Killer. What's going on, Star Killer?
Promise not to have too many tangents today, but you guys do know me well. I like cooking up my ideas. Florida's still beautiful. I'm going on my bicycle walk every day for startup hours, so I make it on time. Now's the accountable, because yesterday we spoke about AI agents that don't use code, and I didn't use it yet, but I did learn something that you can, with the No AI agent codes, use components, much like the Unreal Engine used to have components to make physics work or stuff like that. So I did play with the feature of a non-code AI agent, but I didn't get to apply it yet. So today I'll focus on applying. And also I would like to say that what Andy said about the smarter questions is true. I noticed that it's going to be windy, so I might need to get somewhere else. So I'll try to make it really short. But what Andy said is true. If you ask a smarter question, I had the same experience today. I'm a new Roblox coder, so I haven't used the studio before. Haven't always been into game development, but now I love it. So you'll never know what skills you'll learn, but I told the AI today, it said I was making an RPG for my character that would shoot a... It's not working. Sorry, I cut out. Do you think it's not working because it's a tool and not a part? And I asked that question. It said, absolutely, you're right. The reason your tool is not working is because it's registering as a part. It's registering as a tool, not a part. So I got that fixed. I asked it smarter questions. And then as the last thing here, sorry, trying to learn all I can every startup hour. But the last thing I wanted to say was that it's really brilliant prompting, and I've been trying to get into it as a skill. So I don't know what you are using, and maybe I can level myself up today, because when I prompt something, I put it in my notes. So I say, this is everything on the server. These are all my tools. These are all the humanoids, for example. And the AI will say, okay, this is everything you have in the game. Repeat what I have in the game. And then I will say, all right, let's get started. So I don't know if prompting is able to level up here, or if I'm able to level up by just listing everything. So that's what I was interested in today, is just how to advance those prompts.
Well, I want to say that Star Killer, you really advanced from yesterday. You were definitely going in another direction. But I mean, I think that there's been a lot of nuggets from people that come here that have shared a lot of really interesting things. And I have a notebook even when I do the spaces, because if there's something that's important, I want to make sure that I write it down and then start exploring it. I highly recommend everybody have a notebook here. Not every moment is worth a notebook, but there are some gems that really that happen, especially when it comes to prompting. Now there's goals. You have a goal with the prompt. You want to tell the in the prompt, this is my goal. If there's an example of an output that you want it to be in that form, you can say, this is the output example, or this is a, a result that was achieved. I want to achieve a result like this. You have a website page, or you have a mathematical problem, or what have you. And just think of parameters in terms of I can go. I'll take a look around. If you want to add, Andy, I'm gonna share my secret sauce. I've been told that I do stuff on a really, really advanced level. My father's a physicist. He went to Cornell. I had dyslexia. I argue with him all the time. He's still around. And so I think through those years of getting into it with him, I really have pushed myself to a certain degree, or what I've been told. But Andy, if you want to share a little bit, I'm going to go and search a couple things, and I will get back to you, Star Killer, for some elements that are important for high level prompting.
Well, so arguing with the LLM is a good idea. Telling it it's wrong, it's a good idea, because it is by definition prompted for confirmation bias. It's going to go, hey, that's a great idea. Here, this is how you can do that. It's like, no. You need to tell it, stop. Don't give me confirmation bias. I want you to ask questions and challenge my assumptions. My assumptions may be wrong. I'm using you to help me. In fact, when by the way, I got this, what I'm about to say, I got this from John Carlos. So John, you got to jump in and tell me how you're doing this. But he said, just turn on ChatGPT and talk to it. And I did that, but here's what it would do. It would go, oh, that's great, Andy. What a great idea. You can do this. I go, stop, look. And so here are my instructions that I use when I talk to ChatGPT or Grok or any of the other audio interfaces. I say, do not confirm what I say. Your job is to listen and track and write down what we talk about. Only answer when I ask you to answer me. Do not prompt me for any future information. But when I ask you for an explanation, give me a concise explanation, and I will ask you for more details if I want. That way I use ChatGPT like a backboard. I just go, I got this idea and this idea and this idea. We're going to talk about this, and this. Oh, that's great, Andy. Let's shut up. Okay, look, keep going. And if you listen to me, actually record me talking to, I'm rude because I'm like, no, stop. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this thing. Do you understand? Or repeat, give me one sentence summary of what I just said. And then it will respond to me with a small view of what I was talking about. And I use it like a pulse check to make sure that the LLM is listening or understanding, or I'm saying the right things. And so for me, it's all about how do I learn? And this is what I'm doing. I'm teaching myself how to be most effective using this really cool tool. And I'm not sure I've exercised its capabilities yet because I'm only using it to solve the problems that are at top of mind for me. And so as I
So
solve them,
so
I keep getting deeper and deeper.
so and one other thing. So Andy, within your field of work, within the field, within the river of production management, there's specific terms that mean specific things that is agreed upon within that school of thought, correct?
There are definitely terms that we use in a consistent way to talk about like resources. When you say resources to me, I'm thinking that means people or software licenses, software tools. I don't really think of equipment as being because that's hardware. We say hardware licenses. So you need resources, so you need licenses, so you have tools, hardware, so you have equipment, and resources, human beings with skill sets to do the tools you need. When you say
So
resources,
so
when I say resources to Tim, Tim's not on here, but uh,
so
Tim thinks of resources
so
as
so
minerals
if
like gold, silver, copper,
so
stuff we dig out of the
so
ground.
so if you were to make a prompt and say the goal of this prompt is for a project management project and resources, you always have to define the terms that you're using. So just for to create a high level prompt, understand this the profession or the school or the whatever you're in, and start to do some research on very specific terms. And then when you, because two words can mean a lot. Like one of the things is I this the goal of this prompt is to reach a high level objective. That's different than the goal is X. So you want to like go to your library, get out a dictionary, and start to drill down. If you're all of a sudden have a situation where you have a job that's within a certain industry, you want to understand terms that are related to that industry, that are related to the outcomes for that industry, and then understand how to weave that into prompts in very concise ways. So 2 or 3 words can have a very powerful output when you put them together and have a very specific thing that is attached to that. Is that making any sense? And I
100%.
know I see Juan Carlos.
Yeah, 100%. Because English is one of the worst languages for precision. Other languages, one word means one thing. In English, one word can mean many, many, many things. And used in context with other words can mean even more things. And so you are absolutely 100% correct that you have to define terms. And that's why I gave that talk about assumptions, because if you start with assumptions are things we think are true. Facts are facts, they're truth. Everything else is an assumption. And some of our assumptions, some of the things we hold dear to our lives, they're absolutely wrong, right? I had some ideas about how financing worked in my past that I was absolutely 100% wrong. And I believed them. If you would have asked me, I would have told you. But now that I know better, I know that what I was saying in the past was wrong. What I know now is true, and that's just the way it is. And so, yeah, you have to define terms. That's why contracts get sideways. That's why relationships go sideways. That's why projects go sideways. It's primarily due to communication. About 85% of all project failures is due to communication, according to Gartner and a bunch of other tools. And it's still true today, still going to be true tomorrow, still going to be true in 100 years.
Well, thanks. I just
Juan,
wanted to say I had one key take.
ho-
Oh,
ho-
sure.
Juan Carlos has his hand up. Juan Carlos, what would you like to
Yeah,
add?
no, in terms of in terms of all the prompting situation and conversation, I agree with a lot that's being said here. The biggest thing that I think that I might do different than what most people do, especially particularly ChatGPT, they have the instructions. They have you can tell it more additional information about you, and then there's the memory feature, and then as a third component, there is also the the files that you can upload. And you can do that directly to each chat, but then they added the fourth technical component of the projects. And then you can now have chats inside of projects where the projects themselves are associated to certain files. So I think the biggest thing to um, look at when it comes to prompt engineering, because that is kind of like the differentiating factor of what creates successful or more favorable output versus unfavorable output, or just quite frankly just pure trash. It comes down to the context window that we're able to give the LLMs, and obviously the ones that they are given naturally in terms of their programming environment and in terms of the chat context. That's not something that we can change, but we can basically kind of how do you put this? If there's a context window and every chat starts with 0% context, and so every prompt is us giving the context to the chat, then basically what all these other tools enable us to do is start every chat with like 40% context right off the rip. So you've only got an opportunity to be able to throw in another 60% chat context window. That does, in my experience, yield to quicker um, I'm sorry, the need for shorter conversations, because the LLM will lose track a lot quicker. Whenever it has basically it starts to get confused and whatnot. My conversations with it are very short because the context is a lot larger up front. So I just wanted to preface that. I think that whenever we're considering details like like Andy just said, and John brought up with the resources. English is a terrible language to be having with having discussions with LLMs, and then especially with all the different industries that have they use certain words as synonyms. Like resources can mean literally 100 different things to 1,000 different people. But like in my case, I have a specific section where it has all my special interests, how many years I've been involved in that particular field of information, and so it has that context. So whenever I ask questions, it has the context of what I do for a living, what I'm interested in, what this client does over here, yada yada. It has all of that up front, so I don't have to engineer as much on the prompt side, because I just have to give it clear, cut, concise instructions at that point. In the instructions on the back end, it says to remove all that stuff. Like Andy, if you're arguing with it, literally go into the instructions, say, be straightforward, use direct statements, no synthetic data, just point, click, result. And it should always follow that. Every now and then it kind of deviates, but you just got to remind it, like, be more concise or something like that. Just 1 to 2 to 3 usual back and forths, get everything I need out of it. And it's usually high qualities, but I would say that that's the only thing that I do differently. I just utilize those back end settings like to the maximum.
And like here's just a tip: the word unambiguous. I want an start to throw some words around that and play with them. Ask it, if I put the word unambiguous into a prompt, what does that mean? And do not give me synthetic data in the answer. Or, now I'm starting to play with, you can give me 5% synthetic data or 10%, and just kind of seeing what the responses are. And you cannot speculate, or you can speculate 3%. And the more you do this, the more you understand what's going on, and that way you can drive in a lot of very precise um uh, communications. And to Juan Carlos's point, yeah, you do find that if you go if you have these prolonged conversations, they do get lost. So by keeping it short and sweet and having it all kind of piled up in the front end with a very a very thought out prompt. And what I do is I have Google Docs that I am constantly creating um uh data sets that I can go back to that deliver certain things. And one thing that I did for a while was I go to Google Scholars, and like I'm really interested in the subconscious mind and how it deals with influence, how you influence the subconscious mind, basically. And so especially when you write copy. But one problem is you can get these peer reviewed articles in Google Scholar on the subconscious mind, and it actually, some of it are very targeted towards marketing. But if you just grab one of those documents and throw the whole thing into a prompt, it can be a little much. But if you start to go through those things and you pull out what you know to be pertinent for a subject, and then you build, a library, a data set of that, that can help, is if you, especially if you're working within a trough of industries or whatever. So that's a bit of some information that could be helpful.
Yeah, the I like what John Carlos said about arguing. I meant arguing in the sense that, and I'm refining it to make sure that I'm clear. Arguing in the sense of, don't just accept what they say, but critically challenge, intellectually challenge what's being produced, and then go back. And the response to that intellectual challenge is what John Carlos said. Hey, don't do that. Do this. Stop doing that other thing. I don't want that anymore. I want this. And it'll just go, okay, right? It's kind of like GPS. It'll just, oh, well, reassessing, recalculating, and just redo it, which is fantastic. So um, the the idea that, okay, remember, we are all investigating the right or the best or the most efficient way, which are all three different things of utilization of the tool. And we are learning how to use a tool in real time in front of everybody. And in a year from now, everyone will understand this is the basic structure of a prompt. This is the best way to get a result. Everyone. Or everyone will be able to tell you this is the basic structure to get the best result. You do blah, 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 A, B, C, or whatever it is. Somebody will come up with something and everyone will know. And then we'll all use that methodology. Today, we're all trying to figure out the best way, and we're doing it live in front of everyone. And some of it is good and some of it isn't. And that's cool, right? Just let's all fumble around together. We will take all the things that are bad and start eliminating those things that do not help us get to the best optimum result. And we'll start to refine our own ability to use the tool, right? When you first start using a hammer, you can bang anything with it, right? But it takes a lot of skill to put a 4 or 5 inch nail upside down into a ceiling to hold a piece of drywall with 1 or 2 strokes. Pop, 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 pop. I've seen those guys do them. I can't do that. I don't have that skill. It takes time, effort, and practice to get there. That's what we're doing right now with prompting. We're learning how to swing the hammer, how to be most effective in utilization of it. And you should come back every single day while we continue to talk about and refine these kind of things so that you can become more effective in the way you are using these prompts to help you in your business.
Absolutely. So Star Killer, yeah. What I know you're a musician, but is that mainly what you're using AI for? And do you also have like any kind of consulting business, or do you build websites, or what all do you do?
Well, I'm a new developer, so I've been in Roblox Studio for 3 days and it's going swimmingly. I think this is going to be something you'll hear more about. But you're right, I'm a music producer and an engineer. I haven't used AI for music. I've only used it for development tools. And I just wanted to say, I do come here for key takeaways and things I can learn besides using terminologies and how English is bad. For it. I speak Spanish too, and I think there are many more words in Spanish that mean the same thing. So I think that's an interesting discussion. Which language would be the most interesting? But Andy's key takeaway that I think the most interesting thing he said, and I'm glad he didn't repeat it, so I can repeat it, is that you don't just want to argue with the LLM. You want to tell it to repeat what you want. That's my key takeaway from today. So I never thought of that. Now, when I come to startup circles, I always look for things I can use and advance myself with. So that is an interesting one. Now, don't just argue with your LLM. Say, hey, but what do I want? What do I want? What do you know about what I want? And then see if it repeats it back. That's brilliant, Andy.
and what's missing. What did I assume? What is wrong? What did I brush over? What is, if what I said was 60 or 70% true, what are the questions I need to ask to fill in that other perspective? Something like that, right? That's also, remember, in testing, there's four quadrants. The first quadrant is, this is true and I know it's true. The second one is, this is true, but it says it's true, but it's really false. This one says it says it's false, but it's really true. And the last one is, it's false and it says it's false. So only one of the four quadrants, 25% of testing, is true, true. The rest of it is some degree of error. And so when you're creating a prompt, you need to say, I know what I know, but I don't, first of all, I may not be complete in my ask. And secondly, I'm assuming some of the things are true that may be false. Please fill in the gaps and ask me questions if you're unsure what I mean, what I'm saying, or what my objective is, and then just let it interrogate you. And that's when you argue with it. And I like the word argue because argue is like lawyers. I'm making a defense for what I'm saying. That's an argument. I'm making an argument because what I think is true is what is true. And I want you to counteract me. So I want you to act like an attorney and counter argue with me about what I'm trying to accomplish, so that if I can pass your test, then you can give me the best possible answer. That's what I mean by argument. Maybe I was just not using the right definition of it, but more like attorney is making a case. That's what I meant by argument. So, and with that, you know what, I'm gonna say thanks for everybody. I've got to go in 2 minutes, but thank you so much for joining. And John, thanks again for everything. But I will be here for another couple of minutes if there's a couple more follow-ups.
My computer's having some issues today, but yes, thank you, Andy. And it's you're really bringing a lot of value, I think, to everybody with all your the specificity that you articulate when you talk about these subjects. And one other thing that I think that's really a good throw in any prompt is, you want to maybe build the master prompt that is a prompt creator. And so when you come up with good little nuggets or whatever, you might want to add them to that and slowly refine it. But the other thing that's also very important is to say, I want a repeatable outcome. I want to make sure that this prompt is so solid that we get a repeatable outcome when I use this. And if this prompt is not crafted where it will create a repeatable outcome, please let me know. And then also, what Umesh told us is that he said, if you cannot answer the question that I asked, do not make up information. Tell me what about this request you cannot answer and why. But also, that's always a good thing to throw in there, so it doesn't just make stuff up willy-nilly. But it's also important, I think, to state that you want the outcome to be repeatable. And when you start to move up into the up the ladder in these AI agents, and you ever get to the point where you're creating an orchestra agent with other agents, it's going to be extremely important to get these little nuances right, and to make sure that you've built a solid agent that has repeatable outcomes. Because once one thing goes sideways just a tiny hair, that degree of offness exacerbates as you put more agents into the workflow. um Juan Carlos.
Yeah, no, I know. Andy's got to go here shortly, so I was just going to say that I love how, and it's definitely something I've noticed, like ever since I've ever heard you speak. But in all your years of project management, it literally shows in how you tell stories and like analogies and whatnot. Like it's the most randomest example that you'll come up with, but it literally hits the nail on the head. Ironically, so to speak, with the example that you were using about the carpenter being upside down with the nail and everything. Like literally, just the way that you paint the pictures from your experience. I always appreciate that because something as complex as AI. It's just nice to hear somebody reduce it down to just its meat and bones and kind of articulate that really well. So I just appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I ask everybody to please follow Andy, go to his account. He has a newsletter that I hope that you sign up with. Now, I was looking at my newsletter and also follow Andy, of course. And I'm going to plug it a little bit more. I know we have quite a few people here. My name is AI John Allen. If you're listening on YouTube or LinkedIn or any other platform, and please go to X and follow my account. Also, sign up to my newsletter. What I'm doing is I'm transcribing all of these, and all of these little nuggets are going to be in the newsletter. And today we've had one person sign up from today's space. And I know there's more than one person here, and I know that not everybody here signed up to the newsletter. So I'm putting in time and effort, and I'm really trying hard, and I know I'm doing a good job. And so I would appreciate it if everybody here would show up a little bit. And I think that I don't think, I know I'm going to deliver you're here for a reason, and I'm going to deliver what's here in these newsletters. The first one, it wasn't so great because the format didn't look good. Then I redid it, and I'm just going to improve every time. I am a bit of a perfectionist, and I really do. I've seen some people on X send out like often to get new emails, people will put together some of the biggest craps of garbage as a free tease to get somebody to follow them. And I mean, the stuff that I've seen is just total crap. And it offends me that it's such BS. And you're not going to get that for me. So, I have a reputation to uphold. I put myself at high standards. So, if you're signing up for newsletters left and right and you're getting stuff that's for free and you realize that it's crap, well, you're not going to get it when you sign up with my account. So, Juan Carlos.
If my hand was up, it was probably just a glitch.
All right. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, so I highly recommend that you sign up. And the thing is the space is much more than this space. It's a networking opportunity. It's really important that you get to know each other and understand. That's why I really love new people that come in here to grab the mic, and so I can ask questions about yourself, and other people in the room can hear what you do. And there's been relationships that have built from the space because this is about business, this is about professional work, this is about your vocation and making a living. And that's why we're here. We're not here just to be entertained, but maybe some of us are. I think I'm kind of entertaining. I try to be as entertaining as possible. And so it is nice if some people reach out and grab the mic. And I see that I don't know if Hoops wants to add anything, or Star Killer. Star Killer, I do find you entertaining, but that you were on the edge the other day and you're holding yourself back, and you were bringing some very good stuff today. So I really, really, really appreciate it. Um, I'm interested in anyone else who's gotten a Manus and any other tools. Let me go. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking this. So this is one thing that what's his name? Oh, that guy. What he does, he talks and he just keeps on talking because he said it's kind of he repeats himself like he has Tourette's all the time. But I don't know if I'm going to do that. But there are techniques that you use when you start doing this all the time, and you're realizing that your mouth is kind of a weapon, and you just keep on going on, and then you try to articulate and you bring it down, and then you bring it up, and so it's just it's a new skill, but it's a good skill to have, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm having fun here. I can get into a couple other things if people are interested in the Hoops, please.
I think, was it Star Killer that was speaking earlier about video production? I had wanted to ask that person what do they think about CapCut's video production editing abilities.
I use so for music production, I use recently enjoying videos, and I'm working on a YouTube series myself with
Oh man, you're
He
skipping
he
out. I
he.
can.
Okay, am I skipping out? Hold on one
I
second. Let
missed a
me
bit of
just
what you
mute and
said. You
unmute.
were skipping out a bit.
Yeah, my phone is giving me lost connection errors. So I do music mainly, and now I'm starting this new Roblox endeavor that I've been sharing. But I also work closely with somebody I'm making videos and transcripts with. We want to really push it, and we're trying to make it the best. We've been working on it for about 3 months, and it might take a year to finish. Now, somebody dedicated we went over yesterday, although I might have blabbed and yeah, you're right. You want to hold me on the mic. You don't want to let me off right away because then I'll start overloading and hallucinating like a bad LLM. But but when I'm making these videos, I use baby tools. I really like Final Cut Pro. I've always used Final Cut Pro. And for things that are simpler are better, if that answers your question.
Oh,
So
awesome.
I'm sorry. Oops. So Star, like what kind of like I have a friend of mine, he's I know I lived in Los Angeles, had a lot of friends in the music industry that have done all kinds of various things. And what where are you located? Or you're in Carlsbad, but then you go to Mexico, something like that.
Right.
And what kind of music are you producing? Are you the kind of producer? Are you like are you working with multiple bands? Do you have So I know some people out here in the desert that work with the I don't know if you know Wino or some of these old doom rockers, but I used to live right next door to Wino in LA, and I got some stories to tell you on that one. But so what's your what's your thing in the music world? Just kind of interested to hear what you're doing, what it's about.
You know, I like hip hop, I like rock. I have a method of making music. Usually starts with a rhythm.
Okay, okay, all right. I'm cutting you off. I'm cutting you off. I didn't ask what you like. I said, what are you? So, are you when it comes to producing? Do you mainly work with alternative musicians? Do
Right.
you work with people from
Yeah, I work from
Canada
people all over the
and
world. So
like?
sorry, I misunderstood the first time. And cut me off whenever you like. Obviously, this is your space. Thank you. I mean, I'm a little awkward. If you meet me in real life, you'll notice that immediately about me. But what I would like to say is that I do pick up. Yeah.
I do it in the kindest. I do it in the kindest way. I only mean through kindness. I just that there's some shepherding that needs
Oh,
to go on
of
here.
course.
So
Just like, when it came to social, I'll just say this before I answer your question, but when it came to social audio, I was very bad at it. I used to be a speech and debater, but then I didn't practice or read news or do anything. So getting back on social audio even took me some time. It's all right. I don't take it personally, and I like you and Andy both. You guys are really great, really helping me out, and I hope to pay it forward in the future, even if just signing up for a newsletter does it. But I work with Mexican artists. I work with Canadians. I'm working with a New York artist who wanted to start his music career, and I always look for the same thing. Well, these days, as I'm 29, turning 30 this year, I look for that quality we spoke about. Someone who's willing to give in without expecting anything. And then those people who give in and just keep pushing, even when you only get like 100 views on a song, it feels really good because you're going somewhere with this person. It just works. So these days, I don't really hire singers anymore. Um, yeah, I mean, I used to work with like a lot of emo rockers like Sucker Punk and Senses and even some hip hop heads. I've met a lot of people, but these days I like keeping to myself and finding those, what do you call them? Those white doves, or the no, not a white dove, because let's be honest, no one here is a white dove. But black swan, that's the one. So I always look for those black swans, and I only have one person I work with closely in the music industry. Two, if you count my master engineer, and then one artist who vocalizes. I try to get him at least a full production every week to keep going, and stay like 12. So
you're kind of rugging it a bit. One last question. So do you some great producers really push their artists? Some of them, like there's all different kind of styles, from my understanding from the people that I've have gotten to know. What is your style with the artist? Do you push them to go to places that they don't understand? Do you coax things out of them? Do you create a space where you light candles and you put them on a carpet so they feel like just at ease and they're not performing and they lose their conscious awareness of being there and they just are?
That's a deep question, and it's the next question, and it's a question I should have asked myself. What I generally do is I just shoot, uh, and hope it sticks. And this, you're giving me ideas, but yeah, for what I do is I just make productions. I ask them what they're looking for, a reference, and then I try to make something similar. Now I think I know where you're going with this, but yeah, this is something I should be doing. I like that idea of an artist getting lost and you know what I mean? If you can specify what you meant there, I mean, that's a really good idea. I should be contacting him and asking him, this artist I'm working from New York with, you know, what we can do to make it go forward. But we have a call tomorrow, so if you have any ideas, let me know.
Yeah, well, you can DM me and yeah, you can put me in on the call. But there's the idea of when somebody loses time. There's what I'm a painter and an artist, and when you get into that state where time, you all of a sudden you look up, and that's kind of when you're in the flow state or you're in the zone. And it seems like Rick Rubin kind of understands how to get people into that state of mind where he's not so much trying to articulate what they want on the back end. He's just kind of leading them to get into that state where the most of them comes out. Because I mean, isn't that what all great artists do? Is they get rid of all of the fluff that's not that's that's erroneous or just unnecessary, and you get down to that core nugget. And that's something that we were talking about the other day in terms of oh yeah, when with founders and stuff, that when you find solutions to problems. I was talking to Tim and Sonnen about that. But it's 1:13. That's kind of an ominous time. I don't I'm trying to understand what goes on in these rooms. I can't really read people's minds, although I do get voices in my head at times, and they're friendly. They say they really like me. They say that, I'm a very special person, but you can't always trust the voices in your head. But I but I really don't. At times, I think I can. I'm informed that they're the thoughts of people around me, but I'm not sure how much I can trust that as well. But it is entertaining, I'll tell you that. It's better than TV. I haven't had TV in 20 years. It's just the worst. So I see, if you and I just keep on talking, we're really going to lose the plot here, and we're going to lose the
And the
room.
audience. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay, enough. So, but I could go on. I'll do a little bit more about prompting, high level prompting. I'm going to share some nuggets here. I've been told that I need to keep this close to the vest because this is where the I can fill my purse up with some of this stuff. But for today, I feel a little generous. So a couple of the things that you might want to you know go I find that Grok is pretty good, but Grok is you want to use these things against each other. So if you have multiple LLMs, you get an output from one LLM, and then you bring it over to Chat GDP, let's say, and you say, hey, I got this from Grok, and I want you to poke holes in it. I want you to red team it. I want you to find out where the prompt's weaknesses are, or the output. This is the prompt, this is the output. What didn't it get right? How do we make this better? And you do that a couple iterations, and it can really improve. And also, if you're crafting a prompt that makes prompts, I highly recommend to do that as well. And then, there was somebody who mentioned something that was kind of interesting, and they said, actually, yeah, it was Robert Scoble. He was talking to somebody, and they were talking about telling the LLM that it was on psychedelics and that it was tripping its mind out. And then in the persona of tripping your mind out, do execute X, Y, and Z. Because this is kind of like what Andy was saying, and a lot of people have talked about. One thing that I do is, this is going around about a little bit, but I have an agent that I've created that gives me my astrology. I kind of tell it goals and stuff, because these LLMs really know the esoteric in kind of a wild way. But I say, when it talks back to me that you're like we're like in the army with Alexander the Great, and you're a general above me, and have the mouth of a sailor and just curse away. And it's very entertaining, but also it brings out some new nuances that wouldn't be there unless you push it to these crazy places. I also, was writing a book about something totally different than what I work on. And through that, I learned a lot of things that I wouldn't have if I didn't try these things. So I highly recommend periodically on a weekend or whatever, get a glass of Chardonnay or whatever you like to do, and see if you can push these things to places where they're not, where it's not this by rote thing again and again and again, in terms of the communication that you have with these LLMs, and see if you can find exploratory ways for it to have a output that is quite different than what you've been doing, and see if there's some nuggets there. Because they were saying that this one guy was saying that he had created a LLM that could hallucinate, and it was given what magic mushrooms for an LLM, but it did create these results that were quite astonishing and different. Now the thing is, we're all on the internet, so how do we prove these things? For all I could be an LLM. I don't know. I'm gonna go down that whole road about the multiverse, and I think that's gonna bore everybody to death. So I do see a lot of people still here. I just want to point out there's somebody here that's very interesting person. You might want to follow him. It's called Hang On to Something. He's new to X. He's got a cool little dog face, and he's a exceptional human being. So check him out. And Jonathan is here from France, who is doing great work with Chat GDP and really doing interesting things. I'm really interested to find out what goes on with him in the future. And then there's my computer's a little slow, so I apologize here, but I'm going to try to get to everyone. There's Cameron, and he is doing really, really cool things. So I highly recommend that people follow him as well. And marketing, my computer's a Marketing Success World shows up on a regular basis, and I never has said anything. I think you spoke once, but sometime I'd love to hear more about what you're doing. And again, Jonathan from France, who's been doing very exceptional work with Chat GDP while he's working at these really kind of, it sounds like they're very high end, cool places throughout Europe, and learning or actually using these tools to really increase his bottom line by upselling and understanding his customers. Go Dig a Lot comes here often. Has not grabbed the mic yet, but decentralized blockchain, medicine, freedom, AI, knowledge. If intrigued, I do my own digging, which sounds super cool. And then there's Kyle, and Kyle, I'm not going to give too hard of a time, but has he grabs the mic sometimes, and that's enough of that. He's whatever. Lloyd's solid as a rock. CEO of Project Q's Inc., offering AI-powered businesses, web development services, and rich background in sales, marketing, and technology. And Cleveland, Ohio area, North Ohio, and he's been doing marketing for a long time, knows his stuff. If you're in that part of town, or a business that's in that part of town and they need a solid marketer, I highly recommend that you reach out to Lloyd and DM them. RBN, New Yorker, um, brings a lot of really smart, intelligent um, uh, information into the room, and he does a lot. I don't think that his account really tells the whole story here from what he's said before. Tech no stress, AI is my guy. Crypto equals no borders. Lift money, New York City. That's right. NYC native. And then there's Jason. Jason is the man. Jason put together our Discord server. And if you're a developer, I highly recommend you DM myself or Jason and become a member of the Discord server. It's people I don't spend a lot of time in Discord, but multiple people have mentioned it's the most organized together Discord server they've ever seen. And we've got a lot of future plans with that. And so and I haven't seen Francisco. I need to reach out to Francisco. He he and I he's going to help with getting tests so we get the people vetted that go in there, so there's we really understand who's there and there's not a lot of noise. And then there's Zoo, who's really pushing it in a great way, does a lot of amazing things. Founder and CEO of Bluebird Investing, a capital raising firm. He started to do some some streaming today, and I got a little bent out of shape because it's so good. He's really the man is a man of many skills, and he does a lot of great work. So I highly recommend that you follow Zoo and you pay attention to what he's doing, because he's really doing cool things. He's he's a smart man who's doing great work. And as of course, Sonnen is here from Taxaroo, and does a lot of amazing work with AI. And I highly recommend that you follow Sonnen. And they're having another space this Saturday, Sonnen and Zoo, and it goes into investing and venture capitalists. If you guys want to put the link into that in the purple pill, please feel free. They also have a space called Impromptu, which is really cool. A lot of cool stuff that I really dig and admire. And then there's Ross, of course, with Tech in Schools. There's the last class for season 7, and then season 8 will start. And he is the founder of Tech in Schools, which is a great program. It brings coding to public school students, which is wonderful. And if you do get his product, My AI Tutor, he also has another product called Pixio. Well, the wonderful thing about it is then they give the product also to a public school student, so they can start to learn to code and change their world. And one of the amazing things about Ross and Tech in Schools, they have these free courses, and I realized when taking the course that they obviously taught in public schools for a long time, because they are so patient. And there's adults or what have you, it can get very frustrating coding, let's put it that way. And to have somebody who guides you through in the way that they figured out how to do it is really something. And especially because I was like, I got to throw myself into AI. I got to start building AI agents. And so I started taking the course there, and now I've got AI agents. I make them every day. They're freaking awesome. And it was because of the free course and because of their platform, and I can't recommend it enough. It's just really good quality stuff, and it's powerful. It's really powerful. So you're going to check that. And then there's Star Killer, of course, who is a friend of the show. He's entertaining, and at some point, I guess I'm going to have to go to his SoundCloud account and hear his music. I guess people, if you want to know, I'm Johnny Bass on the internet, and I have music out there. It's really lo-fi kind of stuff. Not so, I don't know. I played at CBGB's. I played at the Viper Room. I played all over the United States. I haven't played in a while. I used to play in Richmond, Virginia. Richmond, Virginia is one of the best music scenes around. They have a school there that's a jazz school. So you have all these people coming out of the school that play amazing jazz. California, the music scene's really gone downhill. I'm telling you, it's just not that great. But I do love music, and it's really something to live in a community where there's a real music scene. Pretty much Richmond, Virginia, and New Orleans were two of the greatest places for music in North America. A lot of the places like New York City used to be great, but it's, a lot of people, it's not the easiest place to earn a living these days. So whatever that's worth, blah, blah, blah. And then of course there's Andy Wergadal, who's the co-host of AI Biz Hour. That's with Andy and John. And then and he has 11th Street Consulting and 4050.com. Plus he has his newsletter, and I hope that everybody signs up. Now I'm going to go to my newsletter and see if this diatribe has gotten any new followers. This is one thing that Alex In does really well, is he really castigates his audience. I don't know if castigate's the right word, but he's kind of relentless. And and also if I'm giving any value here, please go to my account. You'll see there's support through Zelle. You can buy me a cup of coffee, you can buy me lunch, you can buy me whatever you want. It looks like a horrible little page, but it has my Zelle thing there, so it's not really sophisticated. And I do have to link up the AI Biz Hour. I've done some work on the site, and it looks a lot better now. And also, if you or anyone needs some help with business development or SEO, I've been doing that for more than 15 years. I'm very good at it. I've helped companies make millions, tens of millions of dollars, if not more, and change their lives and open up new businesses and rank statewide. I've helped financial firms launch new websites that have gotten a 350% increase in their leads, and helped dental places, law firms, HVACs, a lot of companies. And I do feel confident in that, and I care about it, and I really like it. I'm not much of a shill, so I do feel a little self-conscious right now talking about that. I don't know why I do that. I enjoy just kind of rambling a little bit more than getting into that. So I'm gonna have to figure out a persona or something like that, so I can be, one of those guys that just can shamelessly hustle themselves left, right, and center. And gosh darn it, I need some of that. Well, I I won't say it, but yeah. So if you do need some assistance with any kind of marketing, I'm more than happy. Go to my page, go to the Calendly. I give a 15-minute free consultation. Since I've been doing it for so many years, I can look at any kind of situation, and I have a whole bunch of tools, and I can figure out what your problem is in about 15-20 minutes, and then decide further where we go with it if you're interested. But yeah, I do have a lot of experience, and I really know what I'm doing when it comes to that field. And so now we're getting it's 1:29. Some days they just keep on going and going and going, and you just wonder, is it, I don't I've gotten to the age where sometimes it's 9 o'clock and I want to go to bed. That's kind of crazy, but that's my problem. That's not a your problem. And it's a beautiful day out here in Southern California. I'm out here in the Coachella Valley, and there's clouds everywhere. It's a little windy. It rained a little bit this morning out in the desert. And over at my place is a beautiful place. I've got an acre and a quarter with lots of cactuses and all kinds of trees. And we get rattlesnakes around here. And I've seen some what are those go runners or whatever. There's a lizard. The other day there I saw this beautiful a desert iguana, massive lizard, really, really kind of cool. We have a coyotes, and every now and then there's a shallow grave out here in the desert. I always wonder what those things are about. But the desert is a neat place. It's kind of mystical. And I was reading this book about the Indian tribe here. The Agua Caliente tribe's been here for 3,000 years. And there's a book from 1913 that I read that said that the tribe here was the most mystical tribe in North America. And there's a really great story about this guy Takwitz, who was a sage, kind of a mystic of the tribe, and he went bad, he went sideways, and he started eating souls. And so they banished him up into this canyon, Takwitz Canyon, and then he had this wife, and um that he just really went bad, and they wouldn't let him back. But I don't know how you actually eat souls. So now they call this thing the Witch of Takwitz Canyon, because certain time of the day, it's this massive canyon, it's huge. Supposedly Jim Morrison went up there during the 60s, and there's this beautiful kind of utopian place if you climb up the mountain enough. But yeah, Takwitz was quite a guy, and he's no longer with us. But yeah, when the sun hits that canyon at the right time, the shadow looks like a witch riding a broom. Really wild, and it's huge. I mean, you can see it from anywhere in the valley, but you gotta have to be kind of at the right angle. And so they call it the Witch of Takwitz Canyon, kind of a folklore kind of a story. But it's pretty interesting. All kinds of fun people come here in the Coachella Valley. You have people from the military, you have people from politics, and history goes back here a long time. What side note, one of the only places in California that doesn't have a mission, because who the heck wants to go out to the desert when it's 120 degrees outside? And yeah, that's kind of an interesting footnote as well. So let's see. Oh, it's 1:32. It is 1:32 and nobody's grabbing the mic. I think I could go on for quite a bit. I don't know what service I'm providing at this point, other than just kind of, I guess there's a lot of people working, and maybe they're enjoying the conversation to a certain degree. I'm going to give one last little thing. Unambiguous language is a really good thing to put into your prompts. And you also want to make sure that you talk about the output and how you want to put it. But I think that's all I'm going to give away for prompts today. I do have a book coming out that talks about the new search, now that we have the paradigm with the LLMs and we have AI involved in search. I went on Reddit the other day, and there was all this terror about SEO is dead and there's no more marketing anymore and all this kind of garbage. And then you do some other research and you find out that you know, Google still gets 90% of the search. And there's really no other way. If you're a local business like a dentist or a mechanic or what have you, any of those things, the people are going to Google. There's the LLM, is not going to take away that local search. It's going to change it over the next 3 years to 5 years. It's going to be radically different. But if you're a local business, you still have got to rank on Google. That's the way it is. You also want to make sure that you're indexed on Bing and you're indexed on Yahoo and all these other ones. You got to do everything you can. And then there's a new level of the LLMs in terms of voice search and asking questions. There are changes that you need to do. Pretty much any company that has any business that has any web visibility at all really needs to kind of alter their website now and get it ready for what's coming. But it's still, but local search really matters for specific things, and that's local businesses. Now, if you're doing something that is not a local business, and really needs a targeted audience, we are finding that social media is becoming more and more powerful than just your organic search. And these micro communities are going to be hugely powerful, especially if they have legs. That's one thing I think is going to be really interesting over the next couple of years. Like, how well do people hold together these micro communities over the long haul? Could AI BizHour be a micro community that lasts for 3 years and maybe just get stronger and stronger, where we have events outside of the space? Yet Zoo actually the other day was talking about how he has met important people in his life through social media and then met them in real life. And I think it'd be a lot of fun to do that. And so, where is this going to go? Because this is all brand new in terms of the spaces and this type of communication. This didn't really exist 2 or 3 years ago. So, we'll be interesting to see where this goes, and then what's the power of this, and how do the people that go to these on a regular basis open their mind and unlock the networking power of groups like this, and what could they do to change the world and change your world and change um all of that. We'll see. We will see. So I guess nobody's grabbing the mic. I've actually it might be glitching a bit because I've had some people request the mic, but nobody's really grabbed it and had a question or two. Oh, okay. So I guess alas, how are you?
Doing well, John. Yeah, thanks for letting me up. So you had discussed, or I think it was you earlier, your prompt improvement prompt, right? So in the bottom right there, I had mentioned, Zen. This is me in 360. He's discussed that for, I guess, since around when ChatGPT was released to the public. I've been in his space since around then. Listen, he's kind of a futurist, and that's something he'd worked on quite a bit. And anyways, so I posted his new project there as a reply, and then I took your prompt and put it in Grok, and I have it kind of recursively using that prompt improvement prompt on itself to come up with new prompts, and it seems kind of interesting.
That's excellent. And what kind of work do you do?
I'm right now I'm in Silicon Valley trying to launch AI video game related startup.
So the prompting, so you're using this on a daily basis, using AI and really working on getting your prompts as strong as possible. Are you making agents at this point to help you with your workflows, or how exactly are you using LLMs or AI right now?
I'd like to create some agents. I just don't really have. I've got a couple MacBooks and stuff, but I don't really have my office desk and stuff set up. So I've just kind of been doing everything off my phone. And for the most part, I was using Chat GPT Pro or whatever, or the $20 one, but I don't even have that right now because I got the whatever it's Premium Plus or whatever it's called on X. So I got Grok and I only used Gemini 2.5 or whatever Flash like once because Grok's just been doing it for me. I've been pretty impressed with it currently.
That's good. Yeah, I highly recommend. I mean, Gemini's free now. If just challenge the prompts from Grok and throw it into Gemini and say, I got this in Grok, and how do we improve it and make it better? And yeah, it's always a good idea to kind of challenge the output and see if you can improve it a bit. Yes.
Oh yeah, I was gonna do that's what I was gonna do actually when it was done running 3 years on Grok. I was gonna throw it there in Gemini, and eventually I'll get back on, get the Chat GPT subscription, or use one of the ones that where you can use the API so you don't pay the full monthly price for all, because it kind of adds up when you're subscribed to each one of them. But I think Dominic Romano's got his drain pipe .io or something like that, where you can use, I think, a bunch of different models. And I know a lot of other folks have different projects like that where you can, pay for one service and then use the API on a lot of these, I think. Save some cash.
Yep, that's right. All right. Well, I'm going to close up today. I did a lot of talking. It's good to see that everyone's here. I hope that everyone has a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to everybody tomorrow. Really love to hear people how they're using these AIs and what have you. If I can improve this space at all, please DM me. Let me know if there's anything I'm doing good, if there's anything I'm not doing well. Also, would love it if you would make sure that you follow me, follow the other speakers, follow Andy, sign up to my newsletter, and I guess that's it. And we'll have a wonderful evening, and hope you all have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you so much for attending. Space is only as good as everybody who shows up. It's all of you that make this space. I'm just a facilitator. I'm just here for the ride. So thank you again for everyone for showing up. Really, really, really appreciate it. And if there's a question or anything, you can always DM me, and we'll be talking to everyone tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.